So, as I say, I've got apologies there. We've got a list of apologies if anybody else. Oh, that was right, Robin. Yep. So whatever I am, it is I am. The bereavements, there's one bereavement to report. Owen Blackburn, a club member, joined late last year and had hives already and was down for a course, which unfortunately, of course, got knocked by COVID. But I've met him several times and had a chat with him. We borrowed the extractor and the honey press and things like that. A good man and a club member. I'd like to just have a moment's silence for Owen and the loss for his wife and his family, please, and for the passing of the club member. Okay, thank you. Anybody aware of any other members who have unfortunately gone to the great apiary in the sky? No? Good. Good. Minutes of the last year's AGM. There were links provided to them in the emails which have gone out so that anybody could have a read, and they're available there and on the club website. I would propose that those links, that the minutes of the last year's AGM be accepted. Does anybody wish to either raise any questions, objections, or propose a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Carol, thank you. Matters arising from the minutes. I don't recall myself that there were any matters arising carried forward when I reviewed them before today. Anybody else have any matters arising? No, that's good. Thank you. I'll give a brief report on the club. The full, I might edit it slightly as I go through. The full one will be, I'll send to Carol, and we will include in next year's, in the next journal coming out. So I've said basically what a roller coaster of a year. Started last winter with a number of losses in the club hives, and we resolved to make changes to improve things. Those changes, the summer went well on a reduced number of hives. So we reduced the number down to 7 hives. We spread them out a little bit more, and we also took a much more stronger line on control of Varroa going into winter. And it seems to have placed us in a good position in that the hives were all in good shape, with the exception, of course, of the top bar, which we lost well before winter anyway. So we reduced to 7 club hives. Whether it was this or an increased focus on Varroa control or a combination, I'm happy to report that with the exception of the top bar hive, all others have come through well. Although oxalic acid vaporization requires frequent visits to the apiary for treatment, it has been effective in reducing Varroa count and keeping the hives alive. We took a much tougher line on permissible mite counts going into winter, and it's paid off with most hives having strong numbers of bees, low mite counts, and good supplies. A big thank you to Karen as apiary coordinator for her excellent monitoring, communication, and support of the hive teams during lockdown. And I really can't say enough for that. Karen's been quite outstanding as apiary coordinator in terms of managing the hives and communicating with what, as a club, we need the hives to be able to achieve. So thank you for that. Looking at events, our end of year barbecue went well, as did extraction day. We only took 90 kilo from the hives on extraction day, which was half of what we'd taken last year. So I was a bit worried that, because we always run out and sell all the honey going into the Easter show, and I was a bit worried that we were going to run out even earlier this year and not have any honey there for them. I needn't be worried, as the show was cancelled for only the 2nd time in 177 years that they've been forced to stop the Easter show. Swarm collection was a big improvement on previous years, and big thanks here to Dave for putting the map into the club website, with details of swarm catches across the city. It was easy to either choose someone nearby to collect, or in many cases let the public contact the club members themselves once we pointed out to them where the map was and how they could see the information in there. Approximately 170 hives were collected. Tooting testing was managed again by Paul Walsh this year with no failed tests. And ongoing education for those with more experience has also continued with talks and education by Maggie James, Mark Goodwin, Dallas Russ, and more we have planned for the next year. So we'll continue bringing in outside speakers, people with experience in particular areas and things like that. We were still looking at organising a trip up to a commercial enterprise. So these are the sorts of things that the club is looking to do to improve our ongoing education, not just for beginners, but right through for the people who have more years experience under their belt. In general club business, with the May and June beginners courses cancelled due to COVID-19, the club numbers have dropped to about 540, but finances remain strong with a good reserve of funds. Unitec has been selected as a fast-track site for development and government funds, but is still likely to be several years before there may be any impact on the club. We bought a portaloo on site for members' convenience, and that will remain for the for the foreseeable future. During lockdown, we switched to webinars for our monthly meetings, and this has been well attended with up to 100 people dialing in, and good talks from Kim, Mark Goodwin, and others along there. A big thanks to Dave for enabling access to that sort of technology. It's been a lifesaver given the total inability to make club on-site visits and so forth. We may continue with this sort of technology in the future, looking at both recording small videos around the club site that we can put up onto our website, doing ongoing education and things. We recorded our webinars and made them available to club members, and those will continue up there. So this type of technology is the type of thing which we'll also continue to use and develop within the club. And it's been a challenge and a transition, but a very useful one as well, I think, and enabled us to maintain contact during the COVID-19 lockdown. Finally, a big thank you to all of those who volunteered time and efforts to keep the club ticking over, particularly Karen for her tireless work as apiary coordinator, Dave Henricks for enabling the webinars, doing the swarm map, mailing out journals and the like. David Davies, thank you for completing our charitable tax status, which means no tax bills to the Inland Revenue. Carol, thank you for the journal each quarter and for the honey show. The hive managers, thank you for looking after your hives and doing so well. And thank you, Terry Ann, for taking on the treasurer's role. Much good stuff to come, and thank you to all of those who've put in effort into the club, whether it's just putting chairs out, taking them in, everything like that. It's been an excellent effort. Hopefully we'll have a disease-free, both human and bee, season to come, and I'll look forward to it. And thank heavens for our little bubble and our team of 5 million people in the country, and we've achieved success in New Zealand, that we're able to now go back to a relative normalcy. That's the President's report. Is there any particular questions that anybody wants to raise, either about things that I've mentioned or in general topics on the performance of the club over the past year? No? Okay, that's good. Thanks very much.
Who's your speechwriter? It wasn't bad.
We'll get the invoice later on. Michelle Bogue. Yeah. No. Bad joke. I'd like to call on the Treasurer to kind of just give a brief summary and report on the activities and so forth for the past year and the annual performance report. That'd be good. Thank you. And, I'll come to there and then you can be on the camera.
Hi, I'm Terry Ann, and I have recently taken on the role of Treasurer. So the report here that was beautifully presented for you, which came from David Davies, who's been acting as Treasurer for some time. So the key points from the report, which is available online on the website, and I'm going to basically take it that you've read it all, or will read it. But the key points, first of all, we have, and my printer's not printed this in the right order. But the key points are that we basically broke even for the year. I think we've reported a tiny loss. The club's been going for, I think I read 70 years.
It's over 70 years.
70 years. So in 70 years, I expect it's had some tiny losses and some tiny profits, and over the years, it's accumulated some income. So financially, as David was saying, we are in a sound position. We don't know when we're going to have to move, but when we do, we have the finances to cope with it. This year we made a tiny loss. Next year, hopefully, we'll make a small profit. I'm not sure what else I need to say about the finances. Does anybody have any questions?
No?
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
In general, my comment, as previously having held Treasurer's position and now, is that I'm perfectly relaxed about a small loss or a reduction. I think it's time for some investment in the club, and that's investment in ongoing training, in provision of facilities, things like getting the Portaloo in, and investment also in developing our IT. Which I think is going to be one of our next big stages. We've made some big steps over the past couple of years. We've completely rewritten the club rules. We've established and registered ourselves for GST. We're a charitable organisation. So we've been strengthening those basics of us as an incorporated society and getting ourselves set up properly. We now have the opportunity and the available money to be able to do some development in terms of IT and technology, to both take advantage of interruptions like COVID, but also to access and make accessible the information and the knowledge that we have within the club to our club members even better in the future. So from my perspective, I have no problems with a bit of loss and spending a bit of money, provided it's been spent into good developments for the club. And at the moment, I think we're going in the right direction. I would propose that the Treasurer's report, which has been audited and reviewed, is accepted by the club. If there are no questions about it, would somebody like to second?
I'll second it.
Second it, Dave? Thank you. Item 7 on the agenda is the annual subscription. Several years ago, this was increased to $40 per annum. Our proposal within the committee and agreed within committee was that this be left at $40 for the next year. I would propose that as a retention of the current annual subscription. Can we have just probably a vote on that and confirmation? All those in favour?
Aye.
Any against? Yep. Okay, David Davies second, and voted by general acclamation. Okay, that's good, thank you. Appointment of auditor and reviewer. Currently Donald Scott. He's done, I think, also the last year and the year before perhaps, so he's done our accounts for the past couple of years. I would propose that the same auditor be appointed for the next year going forward. Are there, well, by general acclamation, all those in favour? David will make sure that I keep in line and that all the boxes are ticked right the way through, which is excellent. Thank you. Item number 9. the election of officers and committee. So at this stage, all existing committee members stand down.
I'm happy to sit.
Yeah. Okay. And I have had 2 indications that of committee members who are not available to stand again. Kumar Sapaya, the club equipment officer, has indicated that he is unable to stand due to conflict with family commitments, so he will be standing down from the committee. Although if we must, he says that we can call on him. And Debbie, I believe you're looking to stand down our committee and as minutes secretary. And I thank both Kumar and Debbie for the input, the contribution that they have made over many years into the committee and the expertise that they have put in. Pablo German also indicated that he is not able to continue on the committee, also due to work commitments. So, as I say, my immense thanks to everybody who has contributed and to those members who are no longer continuing in the committee, and to be able to, for the contribution they have made over the years. I believe that the remaining members of the committee are in a position to be able to stand again and to resume positions on the committee. So for myself, I have indicated yes. Lisa, I believe you are available. Yes. David Davies, I believe you are available. That was a nod for the record, which is taken as a yes. Terry Ann, I believe. Carol, I believe. Karen, I believe. Paul Walsh, I believe. And Kim Neighbour.
She's on her way, yes.
She's on her way. Okay, then. Is there anybody else who expresses a wish to participate? Just walking in through the door now, in actual fact, Kim.
Anyone?
Can you just poke your nose out the door and just wave at Kim and just, yep, and just shout at her to come back. She's gone to the right. She's, Kim!
Anyone who likes doing minutes would be very welcome to join the committee.
No, because I was thinking I will look after the minutes in actual fact, because I don't normally chair committee meeting. I'm not going to ask you to take that one on. So is there anybody?
We have a nomination. I'm sorry, because I've...
Your name?
Cheryl.
Cheryl?
That's right.
Cheryl.
And surname?
Chandra.
Kendra? That's right, because you just bought out of the shop, yep. You're interested, potential to stand on the committee?
I'd like to do the minutes.
Oh, okay.
Minutes secretary.
Yep, minutes secretary. That makes you a member of the committee and simply looking after the minutes. That'd be absolutely lovely. Thank you very much indeed. And I welcome Cheryl onto the committee. Is there anybody else?
Can I just make sure she knows what she's doing?
Okay. Right, yep.
What's required of that is that you come to a meeting in the evening once a month, the week of field days, and you take the minutes, and you take the minutes at an AGM like this. Yeah. So are you available in the evening? Do you have any child?
A Tuesday evening.
To say, would that work with your son?
Yeah, how long is it going to be?
It runs for about 2 hours or so, 7 p.m. to about 9 p.m. on a Tuesday evening at the Greyland RSA is where we normally hold them.
So your son is quite young, isn't he?
Yeah.
So we might have the same problem that we had with Brendan at the RSA.
He wouldn't be able to come.
Would he able to come? Or?
No.
He wouldn't, they don't allow children in the RSA after 7 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
So I got caught that way with Brendan as well.
Yep.
So it might not be possible at the present time because Cheryl is sole carer like I am.
Okay, right.
But we really appreciate your willingness.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
We can find things that aren't on the things to do that aren't on the committee.
Okay then. What we might just do is hold that then for the moment, since attending committee meetings every now and then, certainly it's good for you to be able to come in and actually attend the meeting so that you can input to it and be part of the discussions. We might hold the committee at this stage then. We don't have to entirely fill it up, but we can hold it at that position and in the interim. That'll be absolutely fine.
Can I just clarify, Dave? Hello, Dave.
Yep.
And
Now,
Dave and Kim Wrighties are support. They're
Yeah.
not actually officially on the committee.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
my feeling was that you were probably more comfortable remaining, because you also have conflicts on the Tuesday evening and other things. My suspicion was that you were more comfortable remaining in the IT support rather than fully coming into committee. You're open for either, whatever you wish.
Thanks for putting me on the spot.
Just stay where you are if you want to.
Yeah. Well, I just don't like going random places in the evening sometimes.
Yeah.
So every so often I don't mind, but I can't commit to all of them. Yeah.
That's absolutely fine.
Also, over the COVID situation, we obviously suspended our committee meetings, we had to, but we did that over Zoom, so there's no reason why we can do that from time to time.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, we could do Zoom meetings. I do think there's sometimes some value in us as a committee getting together. We would want to do that from time to time. But yep, why don't we just hold things where they are in the meantime then?
I didn't put my hand up, so
Yeah,
sure.
yep, absolutely fine. No, and
How are you?
that's good. Okay then,
Yeah.
so that's,
Did he answer to your question? I'm putting his hand up. I'm nominating Dave for the committee, and I understand that he's not an alcoholically inclined person.
That's why I don't want to go to the RSA.
And I know he's old enough, but I think Dave is doing such a lot integral to the committee's operation, and he's sending all our emails out and calling himself club administrator. I really think he should be formally part of the committee. The committee, at the end of the day, has to take the blame for things that go wrong. So I'd really like Dave to be part of it. But accepting that Dave is not necessarily coming out at night and attending meetings person, but he's closely involved with the running of the club. Dave, would you accept nomination on that basis?
Well, yeah, the only thing I don't want to do is go to club meetings in the evening. You know, I've got kids and my own life that I'm doing, but doing everything else that I'm doing, I don't mind. So
okay.
if that's a proviso, then so be it.
Yep. So, okay, Dave will be a member of the committee, but yeah, we will be.
And I think that's different from Cheryl, when we talk about taking minutes, you sort of have to be there, don't you?
Yes.
But in Dave's case, he's like connected by wire.
It's better if he's not in the room. Is that what you're saying?
I'll second that.
I thought you might. Rightio, so we'll continue with, we'll proceed with that as the committee. And Kim, are you comfortable, we're doing election of officers onto the committee, are you comfortable with remaining in your sort of current role on the committee?
Yeah, because again, you know, it's a bit like Coomera.
Yes.
I'm so far out of town to come in just for an hour.
Oh, no, that makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yep, okay, that would be lovely. So, yep, confirmed.
Zoom meetings were great.
Yes.
I'm sorry to be pedantic, I want to clarify what you just confirmed. Is Kim on the committee?
Kim is on the committee. Yes.
Sorry.
I'm
What
support.
Kim was is on the committee page as support.
Oh,
As
right.
a support person.
Yeah.
So Kim is not on the committee.
No.
No, I'm a
But
support.
welcome to come to the RSA.
Yeah, I just come every now and
Okay.
need
It's-
My apologies, I
button.
misunderstood.
Is there any reason we can't do a hybrid committee meeting where you have your physical presence, but for people like Kim who can't get in because it's so far away, and myself, you know, if someone's got an iPad or whatever, we can just run a Zoom meeting, and that way you you've got
They're
two
not
people on the
easy.
screen, and you've got
Yeah.
these people. The minutes are automatically being recorded, and then you can transcribe them
I'm more than
later.
happy to explore and see whether we can do that in the
Yeah.
meetings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that it's just so we don't. Let's try and explore
Yeah,
it
just have a
and,
play,
and
yeah.
see whether it works. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. More than happy to use technology. We found that it does work and
Yeah.
works effectively. So yep. Okay.
There's no reason you couldn't take the minutes off it.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Because the cool thing with Zoom is you actually get a transcribe of everything that's said in the meeting, and then someone just needs to run their eyes over it and say, yes, that's correct, or
Yeah.
actually that word wasn't quite right. Yeah.
Okay. Lovely.
You able to join on Zoom?
Yes. See then if
Let's have a
there's
let's
opportunity for others.
yeah, let's have a play with the technology first, and if we can make the technology work, then that opens up another avenue, and you can discuss that
Let's
once
do
we
that.
confirm that.
We'll explore. We'll get the technology going. Then we'll come back to you and we'll say, righty-ho. Yep. By all means.
And I've got your email address from before.
See, now I've got a good reason to come to the next couple of meetings.
Indeed.
Technology.
It's playtime.
Okay, and it might even be time for a refresh of the club's laptop anyway, because that's been quite a few years old. So it might be time that we spend a bit of money and buy
I've still
something
got
that's
it.
more up to date and so forth there. Yep, that could be a good idea.
I could donate one.
Okay,
Yeah.
lovely. Yep, that'd be good.
You're going to pinch another one from the university.
I've already got it. It's not called pitching. It's called taking old stuff that doesn't get used anymore.
Using Russell.
Okay, thanks very much indeed for that. That's election of officers and committee. The next one is a very pleasant task that falls to me, which is appointment of a bee master for the club. Now, this is a category which we had many years ago and then had fallen by the wayside. We haven't done it for a few years, but in rewriting the club rules, we've re-established the position of bee master. And the role of bee master is somebody who has both a combination of experience across a broad range of types of hives, situations, seasons, many years experience and everything like that, and also the contribution to the club. So over years that individual has made an outstanding contribution to the ongoing development of the club's members and everything like that. And it is my very pleasant experience and my pleasure to award this year and the reinstatement of the Bee Master Certificate to Kim Knaga. I wonder if you could come up, Kim. So we have very nice certificate made, and we will frame it up if you wish us to, but if you've got a spare frame at home, that'll be absolutely fine. And I'd like to congratulate you.
Can you shake hands in?
Yay.
Sure.
Okay, both look at me.
And there's a spare as well, I suppose.
Oh,
I got a second one done just in
right.
case
I'll
one of
put
us
that
went
in my-
mob.
Yeah, yes. So, been a long time. I've been with the club and just at different levels. So it's when life suits, things might happen in your home life or your environment or things happen. And so the last couple of years probably haven't contributed as much just because I moved and there was a bit involved in that, just settling into something else. But I'm going right back into bees again with passion, and I've always enjoyed helping people learn. I strongly believe in the learn, educate motto that the Auckland Beekeepers Club has. So I hope over the years, in some way, somewhere around the place, I've been hoping to spread that learn, educate. Back to. Thank you. Bye.
And now we come on to the results of the honey Yep. I'm going to be corrected yet again. Go on.
Well, you please yourself with the election of the president, but you don't want to do it, well, it doesn't want to
We missed that one, did we? Oh,
I just had it down as officers, and do you want to specifically? Yeah, I will be happy to stand if the club is comfortable with myself as president.
I'll nominate Steve Bestie for president. I'll
Thank you.
second.
Oh, Terry.
So we get to say yay or nay?
Thumbs down. Yeah. No, you were specifically excluded from voting.
Okay.
I'd like to nominate Terry Ann as treasurer.
Yep, seconded. I'd like to nominate Lisa Morrissey as vice pres.
Seconded.
And I think other roles continue and things like,
Those are the only,
yeah, not official positions. Yes. Okay, so that's the officers as well as. Sorry?
Did Carol second this one?
Yes. Yes.
carry on.
I'm almost anxious about carrying on now and announcing the next thing because I'm not quite sure what it is. No. The honey show and the prizes from the honey show. And thank you very much indeed. Sorry?
General business?
Do we close the AGM and then go on to the honey show?
Okay,
No,
yeah.
no, we
No,
don't
keep
close.
going.
No, this is part of the AGM, it's a prize given.
Yep, prize giving is part of the AGM and then, okay. Oh, yeah, we've got it the other way. Yeah, high. In fact, we can do general business first. Let's do general business. That way it gets it done and out of the way. Is there any general business which people wish to raise? There we are. We're comfortable with the way things are going. For myself, priorities for the next year, continuing our good management of the hives, and particularly in keeping varroa levels low, continuing with ongoing education, and development of IT would probably be my three top items, stating, yeah, where I think I would like to put focus within the club for the next year. If there's anything that anybody either wants to add in as being a focus for the next year, in particular, or an area of concern that needs addressing. Debbie.
I'd like to float the idea of having a hive dedicated to children, where I've noticed over the past couple of years, they do not encourage to even sort of come near the hives.
Yep.
And I loved handing a kid in the suit a frame for the first time. And I just thought it's just a moment to float possibly that
Sounds good.
kids are wrong, they can go to that specific hive because they're more than happy to hand you a frame and cut bees or whatever and explain what the honey looks like and just little things like that.
Yep. Or maybe we can nominate, rather than adding another hive in, we can nominate one of the existing hives. If the hive team leader, like yourself, the bench hive, is comfortable taking on that role with children, I think that's an excellent idea. Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I think it's, I think beach hive is a.
Yep. It'll be a good one because, yeah, it's got the observation panel in the back there. It doesn't have the height and the lifting of the boxes and so forth that the other hives have. Bench hive would be lovely. Okay, we will.
Discuss that at committee.
Yep,
Does the club own or will it need to buy some children's bee suits?
we've got some bee suits in there.
I'm finishing, I've adapted some small ones with elastic in the arms and everywhere for kids.
Sounds like we're happy.
Yep, sounds good.
They need bee suits.
Okay, so that's general business. I'll have another try at prize giving. Thank you to everybody who entered in entries into the prize giving. Starting off number one, which is the extraction frame. The first prize here goes to Robin Bremler. And there is both a small prize and Peter, if you could. You want to stand on that side, and that way then you're in the there, and that. And if you want to hold to one side, or if you're near enough,
I could go
so you got a
behind the
photo
table.
there?
Maybe if
That's
they
all
go
good.
behind
Yeah, don't go too far away, is the basic message. Class 2, the honey frame. So second, Robin Brebner, and first, Ken Brown. Ken not here? No? So there's,
Steve, I was just thinking, if you stand behind the table,
there we
the
are.
person can go there.
Yeah, there we are. Done. Excellent. Thank you. We'll get used to. Yeah. That one to one side for there. Granulated honey dark, category 3. Brian Powell. Brian, I saw him earlier on today. No, not here. Okay, I'll just leave that one down there. There. Class 4, liquid honey dark, Dean Hoskins. No, Dean's not here. We'll arrange for these to obviously go out. Class 5, granulated honey medium, Lisa, 3rd position. Oh, dear. We've got a yellow one. Is it the yellow or the blue?
It's the yellow.
It is the yellow. Excellent. Thank you. Second, Brian Powell. And again, not here. Put that one to one side for that. And first, Angela Sinclair. So it's blue on there.
No, that's the.
No, the red.
Red version.
Oh, the red's inside. Yeah, it's inside there. That's the one. Sorry. So Angela. Well done. Thank you. And congratulations.
You should get people to walk around that side of the table with you, because then you could see them on the recording.
Around this side.
Yeah. Otherwise, you just see their butts.
Yeah.
Liquid honey medium. Angela again.
She's been greedy.
Third.
It's been greedy now.
Mine was there. It's funny.
And this was yellow for the third. Getting my colours right. You want to come around this way? Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
There you go. See?
Done.
There's the camera.
And then second liquid honey medium, Robin, Peter, you're the. You've got such a collection of these over the past couple of years yourself, and it's going incredibly well.
And she's looking lovely.
And
That's actually rather disturbing.
first, the liquid honey medium is Peter Wheaton. Come down, Peter.
Well, we done.
Not indeed. That's great. Thanks very much indeed. Class 7, granulated honey light. And this is third, Dean Hoskins. Second, Juanita. Do you want to take on behalf of your mum? Hey, Maha! There you are. Excellent. Come down.
Oh, hi.
Yep, if you come around this way there so we don't. Absolutely lovely. And thank you very much indeed. There's a honey light. And first, Angela. Again, well done. Excellent. Thank you. Did you pack your tongue out there? I saw you. I saw that. Time-honoured beekeeper tradition, poking your tongue out at each other. COVID bumps or whatever. So it was class 7. Class 8, liquid honey light. Dean Hoskins was second. And again, first, Juanita. Yeah, yep. Congratulations. Thank you. Don't go too far. Class 9, the Ross Rounds. Second, Robin. And again, Juanita. Thank you. Lovely. Thank you. Cut comb. Peter Wheaton. Down you come. Careful. Cheers. The wax block. Third, Robin Bremner. So Peter again. Yellow one. Excellent. Thank you. Second, Juanita.
Okay.
I'm not sure you can get out.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Oh, what's a photo?
Oh.
And Ken Brown first for, that's the wax block. Yep. So onto one side. Wax novelty. Third was Ken Brown. Second, Lisa McFarland. And the first, Holy Riddell. None of those.
No, unfortunately, Helen, I couldn't be here.
Yep. Okay. There were some lovely novelties in there. Little figures and things like that. There was some great stuff in there. And then, of course, the favourite, everybody's favourite, honey-based food. And I remember clearly a quite outstanding fruit cake with lots of honey in and nice and wet.
Here's a fruit cake.
Juanita, do you want to come up?
That's my mum.
This is second, and it was absolutely lovely.
I think it was average myself.
Hey, no attention to your son.
Get your hands off my mother. No.
Hands up my president.
And first for the honey-based, Angela, for the honey-based foods. And excellent and well done. One of the significant awards every year also is the best newcomer for somebody with, what is it, less than 2 years experience. And the Shield on here, and there's some excellent names, apart from the fact that mine's not there, so I can't understand what went wrong for that. But I'd like to award the Shield for the best newcomer, and this is based on the results of the honey show, based on your time in beekeeping and so forth. And the novice Shield this year goes again to Angela Sinclair. So, thank you and congratulations for that. Oh, that's excellent. Yeah. Good photo. Yeah. Lovely.
Steve made a valid point that he was missing from that class because he didn't put anything in the honey show.
Not just because I don't know does not mean that I cannot win every single category. This is how we organise things and so forth. Nepotism, I think it's called. Winner of the Shield.
No.
Oh, yeah, but I'm going through the Shield. So we have, this is, how many years does this go back? But obviously we've added to it over the years and some very excellent names for the club in there. And this is based on the overall points for the honey show across all the different classes. So in third position for the Shield is Juanita. That's lovely. Thank you and congrats. Excellent contribution all over. Yep.
Are we allowed to go back in class after the Shield because Brian's just arrived?
Oh, we can give an award for Brian? Yes, yeah, of course we can. We can do that. We'll do that after the Shield. Yep. For second position on the Shield, Angela.
This is getting ridiculous.
And an excellent
No.
And for the Shield itself, lovely, great big piece of wood, and the prizes. Prizes this year, Manuka Honey and Ecrotech, so our sponsors for the prizes for the honey show, and also a particularly special one as well.
Wild Ferns Day.
Yep, Wild Ferns. Sorry, rather than Manuka Health. My apologies. Wild Ferns. Support them because they support us in giving us such lovely prizes. So first prize for overall winner for the honey show, Robin Bremner again, and also extremely lucky to have this outstanding plaque that was made by one of our members, Helen Loveday, and all done with a laser cutting. It's marble, it's absolutely incredible, and she donated it to the club in an extremely generous gesture to go as a prize. So it's the sort of thing you wouldn't want to drop it on your toe, but it would grace any beekeeper's home, and I think it's absolutely lovely. Peter, if you'd like to come up and accept, I'll actually do it as the Shield. And absolutely lovely. Yep. Take those.
And there's an additional price, Steve. Are you going to tell them about that?
Yes, and there's an additional prize for the Shield. So Ecrotech have donated for the winner a year's subscription, the new service that they've just started at Ecritech. So Ecritech, in conjunction with Mark Goodwin, has put out a series of videos, just short videos, and I think there's one every week for an entire year. And there were 2 different streams, one hobbyist, one commercial, with videos relevant to each. And there's also a book being put out by Mark Goodwin, which lists these are the things you must do, you should do, must not do, and so forth. Ecritech have donated a book and a free subscription for a year to that video service, which they'll make available. So I will organise that with you after, and we'll get that through. So thank you very much, and congrats for that one. Brian Powell, that was right. So we have got class 5, or in fact, class 3.
First place.
So
And class
that'll be,
5, second place.
where have I got class 3? There we are. So we've got class 3, Brian, class 5, Brian. That must have been that. No, that's a red one, which is a first. So it would be class 5, that's it, yep. There, and Brian, come down. 2 categories here, which I'd read earlier, but Brian wasn't here. So granulated honey dark, where you were first, just come around this side, and that way you're in camera there, and that's your buyer's end. And then in the granulated honey medium, you had second in there, and congratulations also for that one. Thank you very much. Has everybody met up? Yep, I must have otherwise. Righty-ho. There is also each year I donate a award of the Jill Dino Trophy. Jill was a member for many years and donated the trophy in her memory. And it's awarded to a member of the club who has made outstanding contributions to the club over the past year in one form or another. This year's recipient of the award, I'd like to call on Dave Hoskins to come up. Dave Hendricks, rather. Sorry. I knew it was Dave H, but sorry. And I'd like to Dave has been outstanding in his work for the club over the past years. He's organised the webinars when we all got shut down with COVID-19. He ropes in the family for mailing out the journals. What have I got? The swarm map, which you put up on the website. He's an annoying. He's a.
I second that.
Sending out club emails and so forth for upcoming meetings, contributes, sorry, the posting out the journals, yep, roping in the family, as I say, for getting those. He's been an outstanding contributor to the club over the past year, and from a personal view also, not just the things that he's actually doing for the club, which are immensely valuable, but also for the attitude that he brings into it, which is, how can we make it work? What can we do? Here's an idea, always bubbling over with new things and new ways in which the club might do things. And he's been an absolutely outstanding contributor to the club, as I say, both in the things that he's done and the attitude that he has brought into the club generally. Stop it. So that's enough smoke blowing up your...
Thank you.
We'll leave it there. But a very worthy winner of the Jill Dino Trophy for this year, and I'd like to thank you very much.
Thank you.
For the effort that you put in. Righty-ho, I think that covers all of the prize giving and all of the actual activities for the club that, for the AGM that we needed to cover off. Nothing, Mr. Club Secretary, or rather that I've missed out on there? No? We'll take that one, I've passed. Righty-ho, we're very lucky to have along today Hayley Pragert. Is that pronounced correctly? Yep. Good. Senior Advisor with Bee Biosecurity. So looking after diagnostic and surveillance services and the like. Going to talk about bee biosecurity at NPI and how they respond to the biosecurity threats. And that's not COVID-19 this time, this is bee-related biosecurity and bee pathogen program and things like that. So Hayley, I'd like to bring you up if you would.
Hi everyone. So so my name is Hayley and I work for NPI and I'm currently working on a couple bee programs, so I'll talk about that today. So primarily the bee pathogen program, but now we're embarking on a new program which I'll talk to you today. And there's some of the people that were involved, and as Kim said, it's been a massive collaboration, this study that we've just undertaken, so I'll talk more about that now.
Always fun, isn't it?
Oh, okay, so before I get into it, I'll just talk about some previous work that was done. So this is kind of the first of its kind. This work was carried out in New Zealand, and it looks very technical, but what this study did was, as Varroa came into the country and as it spread down the country, you'll see the hot spots going down the map, going down to the cooler yellow. So as it took the 6 years to expand down the country, they mapped the viral loads and how the viruses changed as it went down the country. And so our study built upon that, because that's really the only study that's been done to understand pathogen loads in bees in New Zealand. So we thought, how can we build on this study? Yep, and so shortly within starting at NPI, I was shipped off to Canada and the US to look at their bee programs, and they've got quite long-standing bee programs there. There's the National Bee Diagnostic Centre in Canada in a little place called Grand Prairie, and it is a Grand Prairie. And so they've had their bee research lab going for 7 years now, and it's dedicated to just bees. And then there's the USDA. Some of you will probably be familiar with the Bee Informed Partnership, and that's been running for over 25 years. So so we went over and basically absorbed everything that they were doing and then tried to bring it back to New Zealand and emulate what they were doing. And so now I'll talk more about the bee pathogen program. So the bee pathogen program featured 60 apiaries throughout New Zealand. It was a cohort study, so we followed these apiaries, and every 6 months, the likes of Kim would turn up, our bee inspectors would turn up and we would sample them. And so at an apiary, we would sample 8 hives and they would become a composite sample. And you'll see the heat map there on the side. That was from Assure Quality, and that's just hive density. So our study, we sampled 40 apiaries in the North Island and 20 apiaries in the South Island, just to represent these densities. And so what did we collect? So we collected live honeybees, we collected dead or ethanol preserved bees, and we collected a whole lot of data because we interviewed the beekeepers and as well as we inspected the beehives while we were there. And so, yeah, just to recap, I'm not sure, I'm probably in the way there, but it's just a bit of a recap. So we would turn up to an apiary, we would open 8 hives, we would inspect them all, then we would take live bees and dead bees from each hive. They were dead upon collection, ethanol bees and live bees, and they would be a composite sample of 8 hives.
You can move the picture of you anywhere you like.
Oh, okay. So I'll see if hopefully this works. So this is just some sampling in action, and so this is actually us doing it as a demonstration. So this is not an AP2, so we're not as good as Kim at this. So this is just. So a quarter cup of...
Where's your funnel?
yeah.
Where is it?
That's a sauna vinegar top because we lost our funnel. So we were amateurs trying to do that. So we took the live bees and then we took the ethanol bees. And the reason for taking the live bees is so we would ship them to the lab, and when they get to the lab, they will all be in the same condition, and then we would humanely euthanize them with dry ice and put them in a -80 freezer. And so in theory, the live bees, all of their viruses, bacteria, fungi will still be preserved because the host is still alive and well. The ethanol bees is what we did varroa mite counts on, so they didn't really need to be in pristine condition getting to the lab. And so, these are our ninjas, our AP2s. We couldn't have done this work without them. So these AP2s, you can see come in there somewhere. So these AP2s actually went out, they had all the relationships with the beekeepers. So we had to do no work on trying to source beekeepers. Our AP2s knew all of these beekeepers already. And then they went out and did all the work. So they interviewed beekeepers, they took inspections, they took all the sampling for us, and they drove all around New Zealand. I've got some stats to summarise this, but this project, we couldn't have done it without our AP2s. And so when the AP2s were in a hive, so I've just taken a picture, so they would always be looking for problems, but you know, as a reference, they would be looking, so here's just healthy brood as a reference, but they would look for things like deformed wing virus, black shiny bees or chronic bee paralysis virus, American foul brood, everyone's favourite, chalk brood and sac brood, and black queen cell virus, so things that have visible symptoms inside a hive, they were noting any symptoms of that. And so here's just a cool summary of what we've done, so what we've all achieved. So we've got 132,000 bees archived in a freezer at the moment from the project. The AP2s lifted over 2,500 beehive lids throughout the 2.5 years. They shipped 652 bottles and ethanol bee bottles around the country. They did cool things like they spent 1,600 hours looking inside beehives. They drove 51,000 kilometres between apiaries. We hand counted over 16,000 bees in the lab, and we performed over 4,000 diagnostic tests, so either DNA sequencing or through a microscope. And we looked at 15 pathogens and pests. I'll talk about only a few of them today, the results. And you can see down at the bottom, we collected 31,000 data points representing over 100 years of apiary data. So what that means is we've collected enough data as someone who's been beekeeping for 180 years. That's all that means. So we're sitting on this mountain of data that we're currently sifting through. And so this is just a picture from my colleague, Richard, who's not here. He does all of the cool lab stuff. And so the bees come in the boxes, the live bees, and they get chilled down with ice. And then they get put into these tubes. And in this tube down here, there's actually ball bearings. And we put them in this cool machine called a geno grinder, and it turns them into a nice orange juice over there. And I'll move my face, only just there for now. So you can see there's actually, you can do cool things with this geno grinder. So you can put your kids' rattle in there if they're being naughty, and it turns it into a and it turns it into a paste. You can put meat in there and it turns it into flakes. So it's super powerful. So we put these bees in these tubes in with ball bearings, and that just pulverizes them so we can extract all the DNA out of them.
That would be an awesome threat, man. If you don't behave, I'm putting you in that machine.
All right, and so here's some of the pathogens that we tested for. But as I said, we tested for 15 of them. We're still doing testing on them. But we looked at varroa. So we counted the varroa mites. We looked at deformed wing virus, black queen cell virus, chronic bee paralysis virus, Kashmir bee virus, Nosema apis, Nosema ceranae, Lot maripossum, and Penibacillus larvae. And so when we did all this testing, we would then generate a report for the beekeeper, because it's really important that we have the beekeepers still letting us open their hives and contribute. So they would get a report like this. You see it's sampling round 3, spring 2017. And we'd give them just a bit of a description on, so if they had black queen cell virus, they'd get a plus along this thing. But then we'd just have some notes for their own understanding. So we'd say, yep, you've got black queen cell virus, but it's ubiquitous in New Zealand, it's everywhere. You didn't have chronic bee paralysis virus, it's only found in 4 apiaries in spring, in the North and South Island, 2 on each. So it just gave them a bit of context and helping them interpret their results. but then we further gave them a little benchmark of their results. So this is for Nosema serrane, and you'll see the red dot. You'll see the red dot there, and the red dot is just, it says where that beekeeper is against the cohort. So they can actually benchmark themselves. So that's what the beekeepers got, but then we've got all this data, as we said. And so here's some of the results that I can present today. So this is our varroa mite, and you can see that it's got really nice seasonality, as you'd expect. So in the spring, it's lower. When we're opening beehives in the autumn, it's way up because they've just gone through a big summer with no treatment and they're full of mites. It drops back down, so you get really nice seasonality. You can see in spring we had it around 45%, 50%, and then it would peak up to like 65 to 70% of apiaries in the country that we tested had varroa in autumn. And here's some of the virus data. So the one up the top is black queen cell virus. You can see regardless of season, most apiaries have black queen cell virus. It's almost at 100%. You can see deform wing virus, quite nice. It kind of mimics varroa. It's got nice seasonality there. You can see Kashmir bee virus. In spring, we had a random peak of it where, you know, almost 80% of apiaries had it in spring 2017. And you can see chronic bee paralysis virus. It's quite low, quite rare. You know, only 20% of apiaries 21% of apiaries had it at one point, but then it kind of petered out.
Can I ask you a question?
Yep.
Did you sample hobby beekeeper and commercial beekeeper? Or?
Yep. So yep, we had a collection of beekeepers involved. So yep, commercial and hobbyist beekeepers. And here's some for the Nosema and the Lotmaria. So the two greens, it's pretty hard to see, but the two greens, darker greens are the Nosemas, and the lighter yellowy green is your Lotmaria. So they're your microsporidium fungi-like organisms. You can see that the Nosemas have the Nosema apis and Nosema apis and Lotmaria have reverse seasonality, which is interesting. So, you know, when we have low Nosema apis in autumn, we have high Lotmaria or Crithidia in autumn. So they're both gut commensals. So at different times, they're operating in the bee's gut. And this is just another thing that we like to produce. So we went around, as I said, and we interviewed all these beekeepers, and these are some of the responses they gave us for floral resources, so pollen or honey. And so the bigger the word, the more common it was. So, you know, most beekeepers are collecting pasture, clover, gorse, everyone's favourite, manuka, carnuka, willow, native bush was some of the most common responses that we got. And as I said, we've got, you know, 180 beekeeping years of experience that we've collected that we're still sitting on. It's a mountain of data, a mountain of research. So we asked things about beekeepers' colony losses. We asked them about their productivity, how much honey, how much propolis, how many queens they made, stuff like that. And we asked them about their management. So, you know, what varroa treatments, when they were treating, how many times they were treating, were they feeding, were they doing brood comb replacement, stuff like that. And because we went and we took GPS coordinates, we have climate data that we can overlay that with. But we also, because we have the GPS coordinates, we can also overlay hive density and how that relates to everything. So, and because we do the lab testing, we've also got all the pathogen loads. So we've got a lot of data to work through and overlay, and what does it mean? And I've put this picture of the Journal of Apicultural Research because in the next month or so, our paper will be published, our very first paper on this. And it's going to be open access, and we will make sure that we send it around to every beekeeping organisation and club in the country. And we've been really we've been really conscientious to make it so it's really digestible and useful for beekeepers. So it's not going to be this really technical study. Our paper that we're about to produce will be something that beekeepers can just read and all comprehend and walk away, because I know a lot of the scientific stuff gets a bit full on sometimes. And so that kind of leads us into our next project, because we're sitting on all this data and we have this responsibility to do something with it all. It's taxpayers funded, and it's got to benefit primary industries, it's going to benefit the beekeeping community. So this new project, we've kind of given everything a rebrand, and we've called it AP Wellbeing. So it's just a more easier package. And so what we're going to do is we're going to develop more tests. So because we've still got all the bees in our freezer, if you remember. So we're going to do further testing, and we've got a list there if you're interested in some of the tests that we're going to develop and continue to do. We're also going to create an array of resources and guidelines for beekeepers. And these resources are going to be practical, best practice beekeeping, not scientific papers, as I just mentioned. They're going to be, best practice biosecurity. So we hope to have them out, over the coming years on our webpage. And because we went around, we collected all these bees, we've got this mountain of bees and data that we're sitting on. And as I said, we've become custodians and stewards of all this. So we hope to establish a national collection of this bees and data. And so it's all anonymized. And so other researchers, it might be Plant and Food, it might be Auckland University, it might be Massey University, they can request access to this. So it becomes a future for anybody that wants to undertake research in bees. They can have access to the data. And also what I missed out here was, so in this new project that we're doing, there's a focus on American foulbrood, everybody's favourite, as I like to say. And so we want to do genetic testing on American foulbrood, and we want to do genome sequencing on it. So looking at the genetic diversity of it and what disease types there are, because there's different strains of genetic of American foulbrood. We want to understand what strains of American foulbrood we have in New Zealand. If that has any implications for the management of it. But once we have typing and we know the strain, we can then actually start looking at clusters of disease and how they might be linked to one another. So, beekeeper in Northland might have an outbreak, and then we can show, oh, it's actually the exact same strain as the one in Coromandel. So we can actually start doing tracking or retrospective tracking or real-time tracking of AFB using genetics. So that is something in the next 3 years we hope to do more of. And as I said, resources, I mentioned just earlier, creating an array of resources. So if you just plonk into Google bee biosecurity, the first page you'll get is our landing page. And that's where we've been slowly putting things online. You'll see there's more information on the bee pathogen program, the bee colony loss survey, which is something we also do, the apiculture surveillance program, and now the new AP Wellbeing project. But there's also bee biosecurity resources there. And one that I'll just highlight, I've brought along today, is our BPS ID guides. It's our first output that we've done. So yeah, if there's enough, you're all welcome to it, but you can also download a phone copy if you prefer to have it on your phone. But so there's already a collection of resources there, but this is kind of a cool one to have. So yeah, I can hand those around. But as I said, if you prefer it on your phone, you can download it directly there. And yeah, so if you'd like to get in contact, there's some details there. But yeah, and as I said, I just acknowledge Kim's also working on our new project, going around collecting AFB for us. So we're really grateful for beekeepers like yourselves and AP2s that have done all the hard work. So thank you guys, and thank you for having me. And I've also got...
Thank you very much indeed, Hayley.
Thank you. And I've also
will there ever be a cure for AFB? I mean, are you working towards one? Even if it's 5-10 years away,
yeah, I mean that's the $1 million question. I think people are certainly everybody would like to have a cure for AFB, but it's been around. We've had it in the country since as long as we've had bees.
Well, they used to use antibiotics, I've seen.
Yeah.
They used that mutation of it there. And New Zealand went for the policy of...
I know about that. But there's no actual cure coming. No one's actually working on it.
I'm sure like it's stuff like this will probably build understanding, and it might contribute to a cure. But yeah, I'm not aware of any specific research that's been carried out. But I mean, it's been with bees as long as we've had bees. I mean, we've had AFB since when we first brought bees into the country. So it's a entrenched endemic, and it's going to take a long time to fix, unfortunately.
There's a program for phages. I don't know. I haven't heard whether they're having success. In fact, I heard they hadn't.
Yeah.
That was a year or so ago.
Yeah. So there's lots of like alternative stuff that people are looking at, as you say, like the phages, and yeah. So there's lots of people working on it, and lots of people would like to fix it. But, yeah.
Yeah, Hayley, I've got a question. When there's pathogens in a hive or viruses, we can see bees coming out. Some of them are really obvious, like ring virus, black bees, etc. Is there anything that there's a list of what we can see in the bees that shows us that the bees have got viruses? Because I haven't been able to find this information anywhere.
Yeah, and viruses are hard because that book only features pathogens that have definitive symptoms, but unfortunately for viruses, they look like each other. Really, deformed wing virus and black queen cell virus and possibly chronic beaver paralysis virus are the only 3 viruses that have really distinctive symptoms. Everything else, they just all kind of imitate each other, or you don't see a symptom, but the hive might just dwindle, or other stuff like that.
I mean, I've sort of seen bees come out of the hive and their back legs are actually scratching at their abdomen. So I'm and that happens quite often, but I've never been able to go, well, that's connected with such and such a virus.
Yeah. And I guess unless you, like I always say to beekeepers, if you see it and you don't know what it is, just report it, because a test will be done. You don't really, with viruses, it's kind of hard. You don't really know until you test it. You look at it, mush all the bees up in that nice juice, and you put them through a fancy machine, and it'll tell you, categorize exactly what it is that's affecting the bees. So yeah, I always just say, if there's anything suspicious, call the hotline, and it's on the little books, and yeah. I've got more information on the project if people are interested in that too, but I didn't print that many, but I'm happy to leave these out.
There. I'd like to say thank you very much indeed for coming along today. A small gesture of thank you.
Thank you.
And okay, I believe that covers off our business for the day. I'd like to thank you very much indeed for those who came down earlier on to the meeting. There was a little bit of showery rain there, but not too much. It was quite good. But it was also brilliant after months of lockdown to see club members coming out, faces again, catch up, see how people are and everything else like that. So we don't usually have a club meeting before the AGM, but I thought given that we haven't seen each other for months, there's probably some faces you'd like to catch up with. So thank you very much indeed, all of those who came down this morning, and particularly also those who came along this afternoon to the AGM to input to your club and continue to be part of your club and to support it. I'm most grateful for that also. Thanks, have a great season. I hope the rest of your winter goes well and your hives are all good and healthy, and we look forward to another good year for years ahead. Thank you very much indeed. Take care. Thank you.